he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
I'm 22 to 24.
Yeah, well, prosecutors state that these transactions and the informant's recordings played key roles in linking Lil Durk to the murder-for-hire plan. There's a guy named OTF Jam.
Welcome back to FameFlux, where the truth behind fame gets exposed. Whack 100 wasn't bluffing. It turns out OTF Jam really did cooperate with authorities against Lil Durk, and now the fallout is deadly. Reports are circulating that Jam has been killed, and it may have been a direct consequence of his betrayal being exposed. What's even more shocking is how this could shake up Lil Durk's entire legal situation going forward. Let's break this story down from the beginning, from loyalty to dry snitching and deadly consequences. Imagine this: a man who served a full 12-year prison sentence without saying a single word, came back home, reunited with his day one circle, got showered with respect and financial blessings. Then, he allegedly turned around and played double agent, becoming what many are calling a walking wire. That's not just foul. In certain areas, that's the kind of move that could get an entire bloodline targeted. But before diving into how OTF Jam, real name Casey Hester, went from respected to rejected in Chicago's drill culture, it's important to understand the environment that built this kind of betrayal. We're talking about a world where trust is sacred, where keeping it 100 isn't just a phrase, it's a survival code. And the one label more dangerous than op or enemy? Snitch. Back in 2010, while most young guys were chasing cars, clothes, or a name on the block, Jam was already deep in the streets. He caught an attempted murder charge and got hit with 12 years behind bars.
Rap superstar Lil Durk locked up right now, accused of ordering a hit on a rival rapper, but his defense says the government's only proof that Durk was involved is based on a random video they found on YouTube. And now they brought in music producers who've worked with Durk, and it might just blow up the whole case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Did Chicago rapper Durk Banks, also known as Lil Durk, orchestrate a murder-for-hire plot against Quando Rondo that ended with the rival's cousin dead and multiple people caught up in the conspiracy? Well, that's what the government's alleging, and they point to Durk's own song lyrics as proof of his alleged.
In neighborhoods like his, that kind of case separates those who stand tall from those who fold fast. Most would have been singing for a plea deal like they were auditioning for a record label. But here's where things start to twist, and where the groundwork for the ultimate deception was quietly set without anyone catching on. The streets thought they had a solid soldier, but what was happening behind the scenes may have been something no one saw coming. While Jam was serving hard time in the Illinois correctional system, a young and ambitious rapper named Lil Durk was on the rise, laying the foundation for what would become one of drill music's most notorious movements, OTF. Or Only the Family. The group was started by Durk around 2010, the same year Jam caught his case. What began as just a circle of close friends making music quickly transformed into something far bigger. This wasn't just a rap group or independent label. Over time, it became what prosecutors would later describe as a hybrid organization, one that looked like a business on paper, but allegedly moved with the structure and discipline of a real street crew. OTF's deep connection with the Black disciples wasn't whispered. It was widely known in the streets. These weren't suburban kids playing gangster for views. These were individuals with real street backgrounds, many of whom had been active since they were teens. The music wasn't just creative expression. It was like a coded diary. Drill songs became sonic documentaries filled with names, incidents, and war stories pulled straight from the block. While Jam was locked away, doing his 12-year sentence, something powerful and dangerous was unfolding on the outside. Lil Durk was gaining momentum, turning pain into platinum. Drill music evolved into a global wave, and OTF stood at the front lines of that sound. Tracks about sliding on rivals, dodging indictments, and honoring fallen friends weren't just catchy hooks. They were, in many cases, raw confessions with real-life consequences, all riding over 808s and hi-hats. The culture was shifting, and Durk was now a leader in that movement. When Jam finally touched down in February 2022, he returned to a completely different world. The once local rapper he knew had become a major name in both the streets and the industry. Lil Durk had done the impossible, turning his street reputation into mainstream success and becoming a heavyweight voice in hip-hop. Lil Durk had managed to go fully mainstream without sacrificing his street reputation, a rare balance in the rap game. But with that level of street credibility comes a heavy price, and it only increases with time. The same real-life situations that fueled Durk's most authentic bars and gave OTF its reputation were still alive and active behind the scenes. When King Von was killed in November 2020, it shattered the crew and left a void that couldn't be ignored. In the world they came from, loss demanded retaliation, and some debts, according to that code, could only be paid back in blood. This is where Jam's story cuts into one of the most explosive federal cases hip-hop has ever seen. After doing over a decade in prison, Jam came home in 2022. But he wasn't moving like your average ex-con trying to quietly rebuild. He was brought into the OTF inner circle, shown love, given opportunities, and fully embraced by Durk himself. This wasn't about charity or favors. It looked like a solid example of brotherhood. Someone who held it down getting welcomed back and rewarded. Reports claim Durk blessed Jam with more than $50,000, put him in a new house, hooked him up with a car, and even paid his legal bills. For someone fresh out after a 12-year bid, that kind of loyalty had to feel like winning the lottery. It looked like the very definition of ride or die, investing in someone who never folded. But behind the loyalty and gifts, something darker was allegedly brewing. According to federal sources, Jam had been working as an informant, not just recently, but for years. They claim he had been wired up, capturing private conversations, gathering details, and feeding information straight to law enforcement like he was building a full documentary. If these allegations turn out to be true, every handshake, every private talk, every shared secret, it was all being documented. And those moments weren't just personal.
Carry and discharge of firearms and a machine gun in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death. And while Durk isn't actually accused of being at the Beverly Hills gas station when this apparent shooting happened, prosecutors say he was the one who called for the hit. He was the one who ordered it. He helped facilitate travel to Los Angeles, and he paid the men who actually did the shooting. Prosecutors allege that Durk texted a co-conspirator, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." But since that time, Durk offered a substantial bail package to get pretrial detention. The judge denied it. He has maintained his innocence, and now his lawyers are arguing this whole case against him needs to be tossed out.
They were allegedly being used to help the government build a RICO case targeting OTF. This wasn't just a snitching situation. It was something much deeper. Jam had reportedly been given access to the most trusted levels of the crew, allowed to sit in on high-level conversations, and treated like family. But according to investigators, he used that access to lay the groundwork for a case that led to Lil Durk being hit with murder-for-hire charges on October 24th, 2024. In the streets, there are unwritten laws that shape everything. These aren't laws you find in a courtroom. They're codes of honor, systems of justice, and rules of enforcement that don't involve judges or juries. And once someone gets labeled a rat, that label often comes with a deadly consequence. Being called a snitch in that world is like receiving a death sentence, not from the state, but from your own circle. The same ones who used to embrace you can turn around and deliver the harshest punishment. So now that the allegations about Jam are out in public, it may not even matter if they're proven true. In the eyes of those who live by the street code, his fate could already be sealed. That's the brutal reality of the lifestyle they chose, a world where betrayal brings more than just judgment, it brings blood.
And it all relates back to rap lyrics sung by Durk as a feature on a song by another artist, Babyface Ray. And the prosecution claims that Durk rapped about Savia Robinson's death, commercializing his alleged revenge. So here are the lyrics that the prosecution is talking about. Quote, told me they got an Addy, go, go. Got location, go, go. Green light, go, 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 go. Look on the news and see your son, you screaming no, no. Now, prosecutors seem to claim that the no, no part comes from when Quando Rondo was apparently screaming no, no when his cousin was shot. And they reference how the song allegedly...
Once the trap gets exposed, violence usually follows. And the fall of 2024 was about to become the darkest chapter in OTF's history. But the seeds of destruction had already been planted long before. Those seeds were watered with blood and fed by a deep hunger for revenge that was bound to burn everything down. What unfolded next sounded like the script of a Hollywood crime thriller, except this wasn't fiction. The consequences were real, and the people who died weren't actors. They didn't get to walk away after the camera stopped rolling. To understand how deep this all goes, we have to look at the events that led up to the August 2022 shooting in Los Angeles, the one that took the life of Xavier LPA Robinson, cousin of rapper Quando Rondo. This wasn't a robbery gone bad. This wasn't random street beef. According to federal investigators, it was a calculated hit, one that missed its mark. The intended target survived, but an innocent man ended up losing his life in the process. The motivation behind that shooting dates back to November 2020, the night King Von was killed in Atlanta during a violent altercation involving Quando Rondo's crew. Von wasn't just a rapper to OTF. He was family, a brother in arms, the kind of loyal soldier who would ride without hesitation. In their world, Von's death wasn't something to mourn quietly. It was a debt. And debts like that, especially in that code, can only be settled with someone else's life. This is where the story takes a chilling turn, one that shows how deep the alleged betrayal may have actually gone. If OTF Jam truly had a wire on him, as federal claims suggest, then he wasn't just silently watching from the background.
He has audio of Rondo screaming that, reportedly taken from news footage. But the defense says that couldn't be farther from the truth. All right, so to talk about this, I want to bring on civil rights attorney Joe Richardson, who I'm so happy to see. I haven't seen Joe in quite some time. So, Joe, thanks so much for taking the time to come back here on Sidebar. Look at that face. Always smiling, always happy to be on.
Good to see you, Jesse.
I'm happy to talk to you about this because this has been a hot topic over the last couple of years. Can prosecutors take what's said in rap lyrics, in song lyrics, and use it as a kind of confession? Generally speaking, I mean, how does it work? Have we seen it a lot in trials? Has it been persuasive?
We've seen it happen quite a bit. I don't know that I'd say it's been persuasive. I think the biggest example we'd look at is Young Thug down in Atlanta. They took a lot of his lyrics, and even though technically speaking, ultimately they got a conviction, he actually walked out on time served. Most of the people that were prosecuted didn't end up being convicted. And I don't think anybody would call that prosecution a successful prosecution. And so, you've got freedom of speech issues. Does it mean that just because I'm saying something in a rap song, and it typically is a rap song, does that mean that I actually did something? And this is an extra interesting twist here because Lil Durk's attorney is saying, well, this act.
He was in the middle of everything, allegedly capturing the planning, the movements, and the aftermath of what prosecutors now describe as a murder-for-hire operation tied directly to Lil Durk's circle. The level of access Jam reportedly had is almost unbelievable when you break it down. Court filings indicate that a cooperating informant turned over audio evidence detailing OTF credit cards being used to book flights on the same day Quando Rondo was allegedly targeted. This wasn't someone peeking from the outside. This was someone seated right at the heart of it all. We're talking VIP access to every layer of internal operations, from money transfers to travel logistics to strategy sessions. Jam was allegedly right there, documenting every move. If that's true, then what looked like loyalty was really surveillance. And that changes everything. The organization itself wasn't run on chaos. According to prosecutors, this was a structured operation with a dangerous level of coordination. The 5 OTF members who were later arrested, Kayvon London, Grant DeAndre, Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay and Asa Houston weren't side characters. These were trusted players with direct connections to OTF's core movements. But the biggest shock comes when you look at the timeline. Federal documents suggest that Jam may have been wearing recording equipment almost immediately after his February 2022 release. If accurate, that means nearly every interaction he had with the crew during that time was potentially being monitored, handed over to agents building a federal case piece by piece. The level of deception required for this is unimaginable. Think about the mental strength it would take to live a double life like that, surrounded by people who treated him like a brother, while secretly working with the very system they were all trying to avoid. While Durk was giving him financial help, while crew members were welcoming him home, and while private conversations were being had, Jam was allegedly gathering intel, all while keeping up the appearance of loyalty. This wasn't just a snitching situation. This was deep infiltration, wrapped in years of psychological manipulation. Jam was allegedly recording conversations involving strategy, retaliation, and survival, all while handing that evidence over to federal agents who were quietly stacking a case designed to take down the very people who trusted him. According to prosecutors, the evidence gathered during this period is not only massive, it's incredibly damaging. They claim to have audio of discussions detailing payments, documented financial transactions, and insight into the preparation and execution of what authorities now describe as a murder-for-hire plot. If proven true, this isn't about assumptions or vague street rumors. It's hard evidence, collected methodically over years. But the real damage isn't just legal. What makes this betrayal hit harder is how deeply it cuts into the core of what OTF claimed to represent. OTF wasn't just a brand or a loosely connected rap group. It was built on principles of loyalty, survival, and real-life brotherhood, a foundation forged in shared struggles and solid loyalty. If Jam truly flipped and wore a wire during his time back with the crew, then what he did wasn't just illegal. It was a violation of everything OTF stood on. The code, the bond, the trust, all allegedly broken in silence while the team thought they were building together. Reactions within the OTF circle have been split. Some members are still holding on to disbelief, unable to accept that someone so close could betray them on this level. Others, however, have chosen to distance themselves entirely, seeing the allegations as clear signs that things are spiraling fast. Internally, the crew appears fractured, some defending Jam and chalking it up to misinformation, while others are already switching gears, trying to reduce exposure and protect what's left. This alleged infiltration didn't just create legal problems. It created paranoia, uncertainty, and cracks in the unity that once held the group strong. Then there's the viral footage, the one of Jam sitting in what appears to be a federal interrogation room, casually eating McDonald's. That moment has blown up across social media, turned into a meme representing betrayal at its worst. The symbolism is powerful. Someone enjoying a meal while possibly handing over information that could end multiple lives behind bars. For many, that image has become the defining snapshot of the alleged disloyalty, a reminder that sometimes the deepest cuts come from those closest to the circle. And if what the feds are claiming holds weight, the consequences could reach much further than anyone expected. The fallout from this alleged betrayal has struck a nerve in communities where loyalty isn't just respected, it's sacred. But the consequences of what OTF Jam is accused of go far beyond just his crew or the drill scene. If the allegations are accurate, this situation represents a new chapter in how federal law enforcement approaches dismantling what they label as criminal organizations. This isn't about grabbing one or two people off the street for specific crimes. It's about building a long-term playbook, embedding informants, collecting receipts, and creating airtight conspiracy cases that can take down entire crews at once. The way this operation reportedly played out suggests something highly coordinated. Federal investigators appear to have invested years into building this case. carefully placing Jam back into OTF's world, watching his every move, and waiting for the perfect moment to bring the hammer down. From the timing of the arrests to the collaboration between multiple federal agencies, everything points to a mission that was executed with surgical precision. As news spread, the reactions throughout hip-hop and surrounding communities have been explosive. There's a wave of disbelief, anger, and reflection. People are asking how someone could live a lie that long. Others are beginning to question the structure and future of street-connected music labels like OTF. Because when the streets go federal, the rules change permanently. This story isn't just about Jam. It's about what happens when trust gets weaponized and when someone uses loyalty as a cover to orchestrate collapse from within. What we're witnessing is the collapse of not just one man's credibility, but a ripple effect tearing through an entire movement. This is the harsh reality of mixing the street code with a legal system that doesn't play by those rules. When you're up against agencies with unlimited resources, the street code can't protect you. This has become a cautionary tale, a reminder that revenge, loyalty, and betrayal all carry a heavier cost when the law is watching from the shadows. But before we break down what happened after the dust settled, we need to address the emotional blow dealt to those who welcomed Jam home, only to feel betrayed. On December 17th, 2024, OTF Jam finally broke his silence. Taking to Instagram stories, he attempted to push back against the growing storm of accusations, trying to defend his name as the community continued to unravel. The speed at which the rumors spread, and how quickly so many believed them, speaks volumes about the world this story comes from. In street communities, there's often an unspoken expectation that anyone labeled an informant will eventually face retaliation. That assumption reflects a harsh, unforgiving reality, where betrayal isn't just punished, it's expected to be paid back in full. Meanwhile, the legal process continues to unfold. Lil Durk's trial has officially been pushed back to October 14, 2025, reportedly due to newly introduced evidence and developments in potential plea deals. The case is still evolving, with federal investigators clearly building something long-term and far-reaching. The damage done to OTF as an organization has been devastating. Multiple core members have been arrested, and the legal battles now threaten to completely dismantle what Lil Durk spent more than a decade building. The very structure that once represented unity and brotherhood is now being used as evidence. Financial records, private messages, and internal ties are reportedly fueling the prosecution. The trust that once held OTF together is now being flipped inside out. In response, family members have stepped in to defend their loved ones. Lil Durk's family has criticized the use of rap lyrics as legal evidence, while OTF Jam's relatives continue to deny the snitching accusations altogether. These public statements show just how wide the ripple effect really goes. It's not just about the people being charged. Their entire support systems are feeling the pressure, caught in the fallout of a high-stakes federal battle. And no matter how this ends, whether Jam is proven guilty or simply caught in a federal dragnet, his story is now a cautionary tale. It's a brutal reminder of how the game has changed. In a world where the government has endless resources, cutting-edge surveillance, and the patience to wait years before making a move, old street codes don't offer the same protection they once did. The rules may still exist in the streets, but federal prosecutors don't play by those rules, and they rarely lose. The lesson? When you're playing in a street game with federal-level consequences, the house almost always wins. And the price of staying in that game could be more than anyone is truly ready to pay. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown informative, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Click on one of the boxes on screen now to check out more content just like this.